Hi, Greg Jones, 1623 Custom Harmonicas here, your Seydel dealer and technician, and I thank you for tuning in. Today's video, we're going to talk about the chromatic harmonicas and do some basic troubleshooting on a chromatic harmonica. So, on this particular chromatic, we're having some issues where the player will play and a note will sort of stick or not sound. So, if you see that problem I'm having there. So this is common, very common, and you should know that this, what's happening here is just as likely to happen, in fact, possibly even more common on a brand new harmonica than even on one that's been used significantly. And so it's not necessarily a defect, but we have some ways that we can work around this and ways we can correct this problem. If you're a chromatic player, you know they're very stubborn instruments. They're always prone to these little bitty problems that can be very aggravating, and we just have to learn to deal with them. We have to learn how to troubleshoot them and fix them ourselves. If you're learning the chromatic correctly, as you should be, you'll have an instructor. There's simply no way to learn this instrument without an instructor. You need somebody to give you that feedback. And one of the things that a good instructor will do is help you as you encounter these little annoying problems. So in this case, the harmonica, the reeds, some of the notes are sticking, as we say, and so we're going to talk about a couple of ways that we can troubleshoot that and hopefully get them fixed. So first of all, when you start playing, before you play your harmonica, you need to hold it up against your body with your hand just like this, and let it sit there for a little bit. And your teacher should be going over this. Once again, I'm never going to stop harping on the need to have an instructor, but your teacher would show you to do this, and we'll talk about the reasons for that. So your room temperature is, let's say for the discussion, 72 degrees. Your body temperature is 98 degrees. So we presume that if our harmonica is sitting in a standard room, that is going to be in the range of 72 degrees or somewhere around there, close to room temperature. Well, when we blow warm, moist air into a cold harmonica, a reaction occurs that causes, let's just say, excess moisture, saliva, to kind of remain and to get injected into the harmonica. And the moisture is going to happen, but it is the enemy of a chromatic harmonica. And some harmonicas are more susceptible to issues with moisture, and actually the higher quality harmonicas are even more susceptible to issues with moisture. A brand new harmonica is very likely to have sticking notes. In fact, a brand new harmonica might even be more susceptible to some sticking notes and some issues than even one that's been played for a while. So what we're going to do, we're going to hold this harmonica up here just like this, and many times that will help cure or prevent problems that would be associated with the temperature differential. We're going to get this harmonica warmed up. If you look at an old video of Larry Adler, I guess, or some of the great chromatic players, you'll see that they pulled their chromatic out of their suit pocket, their breast pocket, and that's exactly why they were doing that. They were keeping that thing nice and warm. So anyhow, I've got this thing up here. Let's see if this helps. It might not. Look at that. That cured the problem that I was experiencing. Yeah, so that was it. So anyhow, but we're going to do a couple other things in this case. I'm going to show you some other little tricks that might help prevent some of those sticking notes. And if you'll bear with me here real quick. We're always going to work over a napkin or a towel. I highly advocate that because these parts are going to bounce and they're going to end up in the carpet or wherever you're going to lose them. So I'll take this off. So what the customer was reporting, and what I found to be the case, was the number one, and some of the other reeds, blow reeds, were sticking. And so I'm going to show you why that was happening. The customer actually said it was happening on the with the slide in. So on the deluxe with the slide in, we're going to be talking about the bottom. So the customer is reporting that it was sticking here. As you can see, the harmonica is somewhat soiled, which is great. It just means it's been used, but we do have dirt accumulation there, which would of course be from moisture, moisture from our breath, and possibly a moisture, environmental moisture as well. So you can see that. And so what we're going to do, what probably happened is when the customer was playing the blow reed, so this would be the blow right here, this valve was sticking, and I can see the way that valve is behaving right there. I can see that was probably the case. I can almost promise you there was a lot of moisture on that valve. In fact, a lot of moisture on these valves right here. So yep, see, that one's even sticking. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a quick little tip for fixing that. First thing I'm going to need to do is I'm not going to pull the whole plates. I'm just going to pull these screws up and get them out of the way. Okay. So in this case, I'm just gonna pull these. They're still gonna stay in the harmonica. I'm just gonna pull them up to where they're still grabbing thread, but that they're not. But they're not in the way. I'm trying to get those screws out of the way of the bottom. Okay, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so now I got these out of the way on the bottom here. And I may end up actually taking these all the way out. It doesn't really matter, but for this video, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a standard alcohol pad. Okay. And I'm just going to lift up the valve. You can use toothpaste and a toothpick or needle, whatever. I'm just going to wash. I'm going to get alcohol pad underneath that valve there. I don't really like the way these valves are behaving. I suspect this thing may have been submerged a little bit. But I'm basically doing is wiping off the saliva and or moisture or dirt that's accumulated at that reed right there. And that's what's causing this. So this one. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get that alcohol pad in. Now you'll see these valves are actually two-part valves, and there's a little piece of plastic there. And what we want to do is if we can get in between that piece of plastic is what helps hold the valve flat on the plate. Okay, and so if you can get in between those and wipe that down, great. If you can't, that's fine. But we really want to get that reed plate underneath there. We want to get that clean as possible. I've done this a bunch of times, and this almost always fixes the problem. On the blow notes, now on the draw notes, we have to actually take the plates off. This is just going to help us when we have sticking blow notes. These exterior valves, we can clean the plate underneath. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm starting to think that this player may have gotten some water, possibly cleaning the mouthpiece, gotten some water on these valves. They're acting a little funky on me. But anyhow, so that's a little trick that I try. Let's just see if yeah. So the blow side is working with the slide in real well. And I'm just going to clean that thing one more time. Now, one other thing you can do on your draw reeds, and I always say do this, just plink these things a little bit. If you don't have a probe like this, once again, you can use a toothpick or even a sewing needle, pen, maybe maybe even a razor blade. You can try that too. Razor blade works if you can get up under there. You just want to plink these reeds a little bit. You'd be amazed. On a chromatic, that's always a good practice. In fact, you want to do that on the top side. Now, I did not clean the top side yet, so now in order to do that, I'm going to have to either remove these screws completely or put them down all the way. I think on the top side, I can just tighten these screws down and I can clean underneath the plate there. So we'll do that real quick. This is actually not a bad cleaning technique to begin with. What we want to be careful with, though, when we do this technique I'm talking about, what we want to be careful is that we don't damage the valves. And bent valves will not work. I'm going to get a new alcohol pad. I'll clean that thing. So we're going to just lift that up just like that again. And put this alcohol pad on there and just really get any of that junk out of there that's on that plate. A little bit more on what happens. So these valves, they have to be free to move. They have to be free to open and shut. So what will happen is you get a little bit of moisture on there and it forms a suction, okay? And when these the valve will literally adhere or basically like a suction cup, it'll stick to the plate, and that suction is extremely powerful. So the swinging of the reed may not actually be strong enough to break that suction. Second thing that happens is that when that moisture that causes that suction starts to dry, and does dry on the plate, then what you have left is basically the proteins from your breath, which are almost like a super glue in and of themselves, and so they will cause the valve to stick. So we really got to have it nice and clean. It needs to be as clean as possible. This is why you'll always hear that you need to play with a clean, dry mouth. And so I see some additional dirt and junk in there. Definitely see why the player's having problems there. We're going to do some more cleaning on this particular harmonica. Anyhow, so that's just a quick little tip there on how to clean the base of your harmonica and possibly deal with some of the sticking reeds. Remember, once again, I'm sorry here, I'm having to adjust the camera for us. When you go over this, when you finish up, before you put it all back together, you might as well go through and do a quick little plink on the exposed reeds there, and just kind of do that, especially on these lower, the first 6 or 7. Just kind of plink them a little bit, and that since you have it all taken apart. Anyhow, so that's your chromatic tip for the day. I'm Greg Jones, 1623 Custom Harmonicas, and I thank you for tuning in.